First, I kind of wanted to ask Kaya, your character, I feel like there's comedy here, there's darkness here, but Alex has commented in some interviews that there's certain underpinnings about motherhood, about being a woman today, and that's part of what's driving the plot. And I'm curious to hear you speak a little bit about that and accessing some of those things in this clearly genre movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always important to me that every character I play feels like a real woman. I think we're kind of almost getting to the point where we realize that female characters should be multi-layered and complicated and make bad decisions and still feel motherly and everything in between, because I've never met a woman who isn't a mix of all those things. So I would just never want to play anyone that isn't that, because it just doesn't feel honest to me. And Meg definitely has lots of colours to play with, and that's really exciting. I've never played a mum on screen before, so that was really fun to tap into that and to then kind of feel quite, motherly towards the two little actors that we had, and protective of them, weirdly, in that environment. But then also the sibling stuff, the kind of becoming the adult in the family, that when you see that your parents are at that vulnerable stage where you're now taking care of them, not the other way around, and what that means. Yeah, it was an absolute privilege to find a character on the page that felt like a whole person. Unfortunately, that is still sometimes quite rare.
Josh, you're hilarious always,
Oh,
and have been in so many different things, but there's other things going on here. And I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit about where you layer comedy in with other elements of drama and the horror-ish element of this film. It's definitely slightly different for you, and what excited you about that?
that's what excited me about it. I mean, it's a tonal high wire act. And when I read the script, I immediately was like, oh God, this is like one of the best Coen brother movies that I've never seen.
Nice.
And what it allows for is for this almost like unexpected layer of all of these things that you usually only get to play one of or two of in a film. But in the with regard to the brilliant writing of the script, but also the desire that Alex had as a director for this film, you're having to play six different things sometimes in one scene. And that is such a gift as an actor. And to get to perform opposite such an incredible cast, starting with Kaya, who is the anchor of this film and therefore, the leader of this film, it's such an incredible gift to get to perform opposite somebody who is so free and so effortless with their craft and is willing to change things up and throw curveballs at you that allows you to then pivot and try something new and discover something different in a scene. So, like, for me, it was just such a gift. And I knew from the second I read the script and had my first call with Alex that I had to do it.
It's wonderful to hear you talking about acting in that way, because obviously comedy is a high wire act already, kind of. There's a constant sense of like improvisation and what's funny and knowing what works and what doesn't. So hearing you layer like character things and dynamic with your co-star is really interesting and fun. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about another project. I'm a huge Spaceballs fan, and finding out they're doing another one you were involved was thrilling. And I know a lot of people feel that way too. Are you guys close to shooting? And what's the thing about that project that is most exciting to you?
We are literally on the eve of shooting. I leave for Australia to start production this Friday. It's surreal because I first pitched the movie to Mel Brooks 3 years ago. And to answer the final part of your question, that is the greatest gift of doing this film. It's getting to deliver on the promise that Mel made in 1987 when he said, and God willing, we'll meet again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. To have seen that movie as a child, to have fallen in love with it to the point that it became one of my favorite movies of all time, and truthfully, the entire oeuvre of Mel Brooks defined me. Um, that giving Mel the gift of doing this film while he's still with us is the greatest gift of all. And I couldn't be more excited. I think that our 3 years of work and effort that's gone into making this movie a reality has really paid off with something that, knock on wood, is going to be very special.
It makes me so happy to hear that. When I saw it as a kid back then, I remember being like, okay, when's the sequel? And here we
I
are,
know, me
all
too.
these years later.
It's
Kaya,
surreal.
I want to come back to this one again for a second. Were there moments on set that Josh made you break? Were there many? What was your favorite memory on set?
A lot, a lot. I mean, I kind of went into it prepared for that to happen and tried my best to condition myself to not let him, like almost as a game, to see if I could get through it. And then meeting him on day one, I was like, oh, I'm screwed. There's no way. Like, it's gonna mess me up. And of course, there are many, many moments where I broke. I think he is one of the most talented comedic actors of
Uh,
our entire generation, and it's such a joy to be around that. But what also surprised me um, was that he was very generous with me and with kind of helping shepherd me into that space. So it being something I'd never really done before. He was down to play and to grow and to be patient with me, and it was all very kind. And I think sometimes there is maybe what is an incorrect perception that comedic actors can be quite selfish or quite intense or I don't know, but Josh is the opposite of those things. He wants everyone around him to play with him, and that makes the days go much faster.
Am I wrong that it's just like when things get serious, it's almost easier for it to be funny? Like I feel like the razor edge of serious and
the
right?
hardest, the hardest that I left were on those days where we were meant to be doing the most serious shit. And Kaya and I just like were either like through heat exhaustion or just true like fatigue and tiredness. Because this was one of the craziest schedules I've ever been involved with as an actor. We would just oftentimes let loose to the point that our director was probably frustrated with us. But it's also one of my most memorable set experiences. And Kaya does not truly give herself enough credit because she is genuinely one of the funniest people I know. She has such a dry sensibility that
They
I
do.
find so effortlessly funny and oftentimes dark and just brilliant. And so like I just immediately was like, "Oh yes, yes, more of this, please."
The
Um,
dynamic you guys have is amazing. For that
Thank you.
reason, I mean, it really works. You should do a couple more of these. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate
Okay.
it. Thanks everyone. We
Thank
gotta
you.
run, but I appreciate it.